A Michigan state senator is calling out President Donald Trump in a recent ad campaign over the still-shut Gordie Howe Bridge. The bridge connects Canada and the U.S. over the Detroit River, and it was set to open almost 2 weeks ago, but was abruptly postponed.
The Gordie Howe Bridge is finished, but Donald Trump won't open it because the billionaire family that owns the other bridge gave him $1 million. I'm Mallory McMorrow, and I've got one message for the president. Open this damn bridge, and you better believe I approve this message.
Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow joins me now. She is also a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate. Mallory McMorrow, it's a busy time for you. Thank you for making some time for us here in Canada.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I don't usually do Canadian TV, so this is
we appreciate you doing it because it's an unusual time with the inability to get this completed and much desired bridge open. You've asserted, as have others, that this bridge is being held up because of campaign donations and political ties to the Trump White House. How do we know it's that and not just the unresolved trade negotiations that have been going on?
So that's a huge part of the problem is we don't. What we know is the New York Times posted an investigation that the billionaire family that owns the competing bridge donated $1 million to Donald Trump's super PAC. Then all of a sudden they got a meeting with Howard Lutnick. And then within a few hours, you suddenly had our president taking to Truth Social to attack the Gordie Howe Bridge, a bridge that he had supported during his previous presidency. And if there is something else going on, I believe that Michiganders, Americans, and Canadians deserve to know what that is. And I just believe it sets a bad precedent. You know, this bridge was more than 20 years in the making and an example of partnership, collaboration, friendship between Michigan, the United States, and Canada, with Canadians paying for the entire bridge and thousands of Michiganders working together to build it. So if there's something else going on, we need to know, but the deal was done. And I just worry that it sets a bad precedent for the United States if we are going to change already agreed upon deals.
Well, look, the trade deal was done too, but here we are, right? There's all the tariffs and everything flying back and forth. But just on this, I guess whatever the motivation, because the Maroon family, which has sort of fought the creation of the Gordie Howe Bridge for the last number of decades, they are close with Howard Lutnick. And whatever the motivation, it is the constant exercise of leverage by the U.S. against Canada on all of these issues. I mean, are the people of Michigan unhappy with the Gordie Howe deal? Because it doesn't sound like it when we hear from your governor.
No, the people of Michigan are not. I mean, I was down at a protest in Detroit that was a cross-river protest. So it was Michiganders standing alongside Canadians across the river, sounding the alarm and waving to each other to say, hey, we are in this together. We are friends and neighbors and allies. I have never met a single Michigander who believes we need more leverage against Canada. You know, for a lot of us, that is our neighbors. I live 20 minutes from the border myself, and it is deeply frustrating to so many Michiganders who've always viewed Canada as our friends, as our neighbors, as our allies here, to see this president eroding, you know, many, many years long friendships in a way that, as I consider, you know, a potential future in the U.S. Senate, I recognize there's a lot of damage to undo.
How do you undo it, though? Because Michigan co-owns the bridge, the state co-owns it with Canada, but the president, obviously, the federal government controls the border, and that's where the issue lies. Well, I mean, what levers are there? Should you win the primary and get elected to the Senate, how could the U.S. Senate get involved, the Congress, or even the governor or the state Senate? Because it seems there is no check here that can force Donald Trump to let this open.
And we have seen that fight consistently play out, where all of a sudden our state and local governments are at odds with the federal government. Not only with the bridge, we saw ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency under Trump, try to buy a warehouse in Romulus, a city downriver, and turn it into a detention facility. And we fought tooth and nail. I stood outside with protesters. The Attorney General, Dana Nessel, filed a lawsuit, and we won that. ICE canceled their plans to turn this warehouse into a detention facility. But this is not the sign of a healthy government, where you've got state and local leaders alongside citizens fighting tooth and nail against an administration that promised to create jobs and create opportunities and end wars instead of starting them. And it seems like we are starting a trade war every single week. It is driving costs here in Michigan up, and it is eroding friendships with people who should be our allies.
But if there is no political check against the president's decision on this, because even you look at some of the reporting, Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, was keen to let it open, but then Lutnick intervened, and that's why the bridge is still closed. Is there a legal option? Can you take something like this through the U.S. judicial system, or does the president just have extreme liberty on this one?
Yeah, I can promise you we as a state are exploring every option that we have, because you're right, the bridge is co-owned by Michigan and Canada. So we are trying to do everything we can. But an important reminder to everybody watching this is we have critical midterm elections this year. There is an opportunity to change who is in power in the United States House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate to finally put a check on this president. And that is why I'm running, to make sure that we rebuild a lot of those friendships. And that is the opportunity that we have before us.
So just as a quick final point on the economic consequences of this bridge staying closed, because it's not a net loss, I suppose, to the traffic and the trade relation. It just prevents the increase and the efficiencies. How is that filtering out throughout the Michigan economy in your read that keeping the Gordie Howe Bridge closed longer than necessary? What's the downside economically there?
I mean, the whole purpose of building a second bridge is that the Ambassador Bridge is a 100-year-old crossing that is responsible for estimates, say, up to 25% of North American trade. It's only got 4 lanes. It is heavily congested. So the new bridge, the Gordie Howe Bridge, is 6 lanes. It will have lower tolls. It will increase flow between our two countries, and especially for something like the auto industry. We know that a vehicle can cross the border up to a dozen times during the process of manufacturing and assembly. So that is cost savings that will go directly into the price of a new vehicle, bringing costs down for Michiganders. And we're sitting with the thousands of workers who have built this bridge over the last, 16 plus years, who are looking at their work. The signage is up. I actually drive by it just about every single day. It's ready to go. We were supposed to have a ribbon cutting ceremony, and it just sits closed. So the economic impact is going to be vast. I mean, we saw between your country and our state the massive economic disruption when the Ambassador Bridge was blocked during protests a few years ago. We need this bridge to be open for our state's economy and for the 10 million residents of the state of Michigan, and frankly, for all Americans.
Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow, thank you for your time. Good luck in the primary. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.